So Karma Pakshi was born approximately 80 years after Milarepa died. He was born in the upper reaches of the Yangtze River, right up in the Tibetan highlands. And it seems that at the age of 5 or 6, he was quite a precocious, talented child. He could read and understand the Dharma quite easily. It was quite a different approach, a life story. And he set off at about the age of 11 to central Tibet. He was born in eastern Tibet with the Yangtze in order to study further philosophy and train in the Buddhist tradition. But on the way, it actually mentions, it doesn't mention the hill, which particular hill, but he came across this Lama, considerably older, who had something of a good reputation. And they met, and they asked the older Lama, Pomdrakpa, he asked him to stay with him that evening because he was going to give a ceremony, an empowerment, an initiation. And during the initiation, Pomdrakpa, the elder, he saw many visions of an earlier teacher who'd actually been the disciple of Milarepa. So we're going in generations of disciples. And he'd seen him surrounding this small boy who was just sitting off to one side. And he called him, after the ceremony had been finished, he called him over and he said, after they'd had some discussion, I think that you are the reincarnation of Dusum Khenpa, this previous sort of grand disciple of Milarepa. So, and he asked him to stay. So he gave up going to central Tibet from the east, and he proceeded to receive instruction from Pomdrakpa. And then in his late teens, Pomdrakpa recommended that he go to Katok Monastery, which was a Nyingma monastery nearby, and study there to become well-versed in the sort of the scriptures directly, rather than just meditation. He'd been practicing with Pomdrakpa more meditations. And so he did that, and then he completed his studies there and went back to Pomdrakpa. But at this time, this is now round about the 1230s in East Tibet. And if you remember that Genghis Khan died in 1227, but nevertheless, his sons and his grandsons, they still had this idea of overtaking China. It's a bit like Greenland. It goes by generations. So they had to move. The Mongols were coming down this east side of Tibet, so they had to move down further to a place called Markham. And unfortunately, it's there that Pomdrakpa died, and Karma Pakshi was slightly bereft at this. He didn't really know what to do. And then he had a vision. Many of his life choices, life decisions were made because of vision. He had a vision that he should go slightly further east. And he did find a place. There he is. That apparently is what he actually looked like, roughly. That's as close as any statue. It's called a ngadra, like me, looks like me statue. Not that he actually said that, but it was made, the tradition has it that it's called a ngadra. Louder, I'm sorry, yes, thank you. Yes, he was bereft. So he went to Pungri near Batang, and he started to reside on this remote hill up in 12,000, 14,000 feet high. And he did this for 13 years. So his life has been quite smooth so far, except for the guru dying, but not these great problems that Milarepa had. And he got very adept at the meditation and got something of a reputation. And then after 13 years, he decided to actually continue the work of the person that he was supposed to be a reincarnate of in repairing the monasteries and so forth. So this is now 40 or 50 years after his previous incarnation had died. So you can imagine that when an illustrious master dies, sometimes the organization, the monasteries, they get dilapidated as well. And so he started doing that in the east side of Tibet. And then he was invited to go to central Tibet, where the main monastery was. And he went there and repaired it there. Took 6 years or so, improved the Sangha and so forth. Now, in the meantime, Kublai Khan was in the east side, the west side of China, the east side of Tibet, and he presumably had heard of this unusual meditator. So he sent an invitation. This is Kublai Khan, famous in Coleridge's poem. And Karma Pakshi so then went to Kublai Khan's court, and at first they had a good meeting, but it soured after a while, and Karma Pakshi decided to leave, which somewhat angered Kublai Khan. And he then got an invitation to go to Mongi Khan, who was actually the emperor at the time. Kublai Khan was the younger brother of Mongi Khan, and he was still a prince, not an emperor. So he went up to Karakoram, and they had a very good meeting, and the Buddhism had already got to Karakoram, but he had a very close relationship with Mongi. And then after a while, Mongi decided to continue Genghis Khan's conquering of China, so he came south, and Karma Pakshi seems to have decided he shouldn't be part of this army, so he decided to leave to go back to his monasteries in Tibet. But unfortunately, Mongi Khan died in 1259 from illness, and as a result, there was a civil war for succession. And Kublai Khan had thought of Karma Pakshi because he'd left early before, and also he'd been associated with his elder brother, who he didn't always get on with, that he was part of the sort of enemy camp. And so he ordered him to be executed. So this is where his troubles do begin, really. But no matter how many times they tried to execute him, it didn't work. They tried drowning, they tried throwing him off a cliff, and in the end, unfortunately, the executioner himself committed suicide because he'd completely failed. I know, it's not really funny, but so Kublai Khan decided, well, I'm not going to kill him, but I'm going to put him into internal exile. So he sent him up to northeast China, to an island within a lake, and he spent the next few years, while this civil war was going on amongst the Mongol princes, and there he did quite a bit of writing. He started writing, he made use of his time. And then the civil war ended, so Kublai Khan brought him back to an area that has since become Beijing. It wasn't Beijing then, and they still kept him imprisoned, actually, but he imprisoned Karma Pakshi, but he managed to get out of the prison somewhat miraculously, and so this changed Kublai Khan's idea, and he said, "Oh, please forgive me, please stay, I'd like you to become my teacher again." But I think Karma Pakshi had had enough by now, so he just said no, and besides, he was getting quite old. He went back to Tibet, and eventually he died there. But he did make sure, before dying, that there was a couple that were told that she would have a child, and that he wanted to borrow their house, so to speak, was how he put it. And later it was realized, oh no, this is probably, he was reserving a space for his next incarnation. And lo and behold, 5-6 years after his death, this child further south in Tibet, actually in the area that Milarepa was in, was recognized as the third in this lineage.